Hello and welcome to September 2023's Coffee and Card. I'm Linda from lindaspapercraft.co.uk and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator in the UK. So lots of things today. We're doing the So Very Merry stamp set, which is actually an online exclusive, so it's not in the catalogue, so you do have to keep looking at the website because there's all sorts happening. Every month they bring out a few more online exclusive, and this is one of them. And this is the sister set to Circle Sayings, which I haven't got here at the moment because I am prepped for tomorrow's class. I run classes in Sale in Cheshire, so tomorrow, as I'm recording this, is Sunday, and we've got a class there tomorrow afternoon, and the Circle Sayings is in that class. But that goes with this, and it also goes with the punch that goes with the Circle Sayings. So if you've got the Circle Sayings, it's well worth getting So Very Merry because it coordinates with the punch you've already got, and that's the 2 3/8 punch, which, as I keep saying, is huge for a punch. So that's brilliant. Okay, and this is today's card. So this is an online exclusive. This paper is in the new Christmas catalogue, which as I'm filming this and as it goes out, I can't show you. But this is one of the designer series papers that you'll be able to get. And this ribbon, I'm not sure, that might be in the main catalogue actually, I'm not sure. But it's absolutely gorgeous. It is called Misty Moonlight, and it is inner braid ribbon, and it's 1 centimetre across, but I just think it's really pretty. And so I thought we'd start off September with the fun fold. So here we are, and it's Donna Golby, who's also a demonstrator and friend of mine, first showed me this fold, and it is just a cute little peepo card. So when it's closed, and then you open it up, and then you can put sentiment, you can write in there, and I've used the punch to make the hole. So let's get started. I'll pop that there for reference. Sorry, one of our our managing director says that. She's CEO. What does CEO stand for? Company executive officer. I know it's executive officer, but I don't know what. Might need a new paper bag. This one is on its way out. Right, so you've got a piece of ribbon that you'll need to cut to length, and then I've already cut and scored the inside for you, but it's basically just 20 centimetres by 14.4 scored at 5 and 10. So I've folded the first line for you so I could get it in my paper bag, and I'm just going to fold this one back on itself. So there we go. So that's to fit in a normal A4 size. So it's 1 centimetre shorter this way than a full sheet, and then it's 14.4 high, which is 1/2 centimetre shorter than our standard card size. And this can go in straight away, to be honest, so I shall do that now. So you've got a Lost Lagoon. Love this colour. It is a returning favourite, and it is definitely a favourite of mine. One of the first Stampin' Up colours I ever bought. And this just goes inside like you would put a normal mat. So it just mats onto the back of the card like that. So I'll do that now. Wrong glue. Right. There we go, that's better. Apart from the fact this glue's actually got something in it. Which is always useful. I tend to put a little bit extra glue on when I'm doing something that is going to be moving a lot. Okay, so that it is well stuck down, and as ever the Tombow gives us a little bit of wriggle room. There we go, so that's on the inside, and that gives you your flip out fold. Okay, and then we're going to turn our attention to the front. And I have, so as I say, this is from the new catalogue. Absolutely gorgeous paper, and gorgeous on the back. I mean, it's almost a shame to cover that up. Well, it is a shame to cover that up, but that's the problem that you have with double-sided paper. There is always some pieces that you love both sides. Okay, so what I'm actually going to do now is I'm going to put glue all the way around the outside. Then obviously, because we're going to be punching a hole, what I'm actually going to do is just put some, it's very fine lines of glue I'm doing. I'm going to use my old school glue spreader. No idea how long I've had this. No, certainly not since school, but probably since Nicola was a kid. Who is now 34. I'm just spreading it out so you've got more coverage where I'm going to punch the hole, so that you're not going to get any gappiness when I punch the hole where the designer series paper isn't glued down. Okay, so there we go. And then, or less gappiness, or reduce the risk of gappiness. So I am then going to, now when you've done that, you don't have the same amount of wriggle room. So if you're not happy, you have to actually lift it and do it again. I am going to, sometimes I find putting the card upside down and lining up to the outer edge, because I think that's the one where people look. So that's the one that needs to be the most even. There we go. Happy with that. Okay, so I'm now going to leave that to dry before I start punching, because if you punch wet card, you've a chance of ripping it, you've a chance of it not working properly, so it's just not worth it. It's well worth just putting that to one side to dry, which is what I'm going to do. And I am going to get my little square. So I've done you lots of 3-inch squares to do your punching on. So I'm just going to get out the punch on a straight-ish. And I think I'm going to do the angel again for this one. I think I have used virtually every, the only stamp I've not used on this is that leaf. Everything else I've used. So that leaf, that looks like mistletoe to me because there's a berry. That's the only one I haven't used. Okay, we get our trusty Misty Moonlight. Any blue would do. I'm using alcohol pens, which means I can use our water-based dye ink, and it won't smudge. You can use your Memento Black, but any alcohol-based ink will smudge if you colour in with alcohol pens. If you're using our Stampin' Right markers, they're also water-based, so use your Memento Black. Don't use your Misty Moonlight because it will bleed, and you don't want that. Right. Okay, so as I'm doing alcohol markers today, so, and I'm just going to stamp that on there. So, there we go. How beautiful is she? So, as I say, I have a class patch for tomorrow, so I'm a bit limited as what I can use because so many of them stuff's packed up for tomorrow. Right, well, let's see how far we can get. I know I've got, actually I'm going to use, I think that might be Balmy Blue as well. I'm going to use Balmy Blue to colour her in. So it's just working out what is sort of angel and clothing and what is sunshine and wings. And I've got to watch myself. I keep colouring in the hands. Particularly I did one of these, actually stamped her on crumb cake and then coloured her in using watercolour pencils. And while I was colouring her wings in white, I managed to colour her hand in white as well, which I didn't mean to do. So as you can see, as I go over the blue lines, it's not what's the word? Smudging, because these are alcohol and the ink is water-based. I often forget we can do this because I know for definite Memento, it works with everything, it's great. I sometimes forget or the Memento Black that Stampin' Up sells, you can use anything with. I sometimes forget that I can actually use my normal inks with my blender pens. Right, so, and then I'm just going to use one of the skin tones. This one actually that I've just grabbed is the 900, which is one of the paler ones. I'm just going to colour in her face and her hands. There we go. And so I've just whipped out, it wasn't the light pumpkin pie I wanted, let me just have a look. Yeah, there it is. So as I say, everything's packed up in boxes behind me, but I've got my light Daffodil Delight, because although I like that, I think it's a bit too wow, so I'm going with the lighter one. That was the dark one. So just as long as I remember to put it back in the box. So again, we're just colouring in the stained glass now. I do love this effect. In the new catalogue, that if you haven't got a copy and want one, just let me know and I can send you one. I only send them to the UK. I'm allowed to work in Europe, but there's lots of really good demonstrators in Europe and I tend to stick to the UK. So, but I'm happy to send you a catalogue, and anybody who's ordered from me for the last 6 months will have got one already or will have one on the way. But it's gorgeous, and there's one of our favourite stamps from the current catalogue is Biggest Wish, and there's a Christmas one to go with it. So that's the one with the big hello and the big friend and the big, so it's got a Merry and a Christmas and a New Year and all in the same fonts again, so they work really well together. It's like a sister stamp, like this one has a sister stamp, which is what made me think about it. Right, there we go. So that's all the colouring I did. So it's a little bit more subtle than that one because I've used the lighter yellow. And I'm putting it back where it belongs before I forget. Right, so now I've given you all 3 inches square because I've tried to sort of try and keep costs down as much as I can, but I think, I can just about with my nails get that where I want it. Maybe a wee bit this way. So I'm just lining it up with the punch, slightly closing it, checking it, and if I'm happy, punching it out. So if you can't do that, if you find it's too difficult, just get a post-it note and stick it to the piece of paper and then do it, and then you can hold on to the post-it note. So, and then still need this because this card base is going to be dry enough now. So what I did was I positioned it, it's not going to go in the middle. Doesn't matter what you do, it ain't going any further over than that. So I just positioned it a little bit down from the top and then punched over as far as I could. Okay, keep that for another project, and there we go. So now you've got your peekaboo piece, and then to make sure it all lines up, what I actually did was I glued through it. So there's my box. I can't find my glue. So what I'm going to do, or going to do as my mother would say, or correct me, I'm just popping those down to hold it down, and I'm just coming in here eventually when the glue decides to make an appearance. There we go. So I'm just putting glue on the folded card, so that's where the fold is. So because this circle's not in the middle, the folds off to one side as well. So, okay, that's probably more than I needed. And then I'm just going to glue this through the circle. Okay, so you just wiggle it around until you're through. Once you're in position, it will probably, oh, it will help if I get rid of these, open your card. Okay, so then stick that down properly. And doing that, you know you've got glue on the right side of the angel. I've done a more leaning back than that one. I've done a more stood up. This one I've got a leaning back and calling to the Lord. So, whereas this one she's stood up there, leaning back. Anyway, either way. Okay, but there you go. So there's your pop-up, or your peepo, we should call it. Right, so then I pulled another little stunt with my Peace and Joy, because if you remember from the stamp set, Peace and Joy is on a curve. And I didn't want it on a curve, I wanted it straight. And the joys, one of the nice things about a photopolymer stamps is you can do that. So, what I did was I got my block and I literally, I'm going to do it that way because it's slightly wider than it is tall, I literally pulled it straight. Okay. So, and you can just manipulate it, and I am pretty I mean, it's not perfectly straight, it's never going to be perfectly straight because it's a bent stamp, but you can test it on some scrap. I don't know why I'm opening that. Okay, so let's, I mean, to be honest, you can tell just by stamping it yourself, it's not perfect, but it's fairly straight. Yeah, I'm with that. So, and this won't harm your stamps at all. It is just one of the joyful things that we can do with these. So I'm just going to centre that over the little banner I've cut you and stamp. And there we go. Peace and Joy straight. How cool is that? And then as soon as you take it off your block, put my chamois away. Ooh. As soon as it comes off your block, it will take up its round shape again. Okay, so pop that on there for now. And let's build the rest of the card. So now what I wanted to do, because this is DSP and is quite thin, I didn't want to wrap the ribbon around it. So what I've done is I've cut you a length which is longer than you need. So you just need to trim off one end. Scissors, scissors. Use these little ones. Oh, they're right in front of me. So that's going that way. So you want this one going the same way. So I'm just cutting there. And then you need to stick this on because it's not wrapped round, obviously it needs to be stuck on. So I have used glue dots on this one, so just let me get them out. These sheets of glue dots actually come in our kits. They're really quite useful, so because they're the glue dots with a cover on them. So I can't use that. I've got the other end on my pokey tool at the moment. So all I'm doing is picking one up and putting it on the ribbon, and then you can come back and take the covers off. So they really are quite useful. That one got a bit squiggled up. To be honest, it was easy to do that. So I'm putting a few on because I don't want it to lift. You could put double-sided tape on the back if you've got some thin enough. There we go. And then I'm just going to lift these off. Just, she says. It went then. There we go. Go, 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 go. Thank you. That one's already nearly off. And then this one to go. So you want to be careful you're not pulling on the ribbon. This one screwed up a little bit, so it's nearly off already. When you're running commentary, taking covers off glue dots, I just found they're a little less messy than the normal on a roll glue dots. Okay, and so I'm just going to glue that on here, nice and straight, sort of halfway between the bottom and the angel. Oops, that's my poker tool falling off. Just glue that down, and then I'm going to use some dimensionals on here. So I'm just going to put a little row . More on the end. Oh, it's taking the whole dimensional off. Let's press it down a bit harder. Yeah, I found out recently, I'm a recent convert to acrylic nails, largely because when I was working as an optometrist I couldn't have long nails, so I have acrylic gel on my nails. These things stick to them like nothing on earth. They really do. I really struggle to get them off. Right, so in the middle along your ribbon, and there we go, we have our sentiments. So that's card 1 of September's Coffee and Card. So I look forward to seeing you next week, and I hope you've enjoyed this. Take care. Bye.